So in the last lecture we discussed what is critical section and what is the problem, critical section problem, and we just elaborated the general structure of typical processes, which will be divided into four sections: entry section, critical section, exit section, remainder section, right? After that, what we are studying is solution to critical section must satisfy these three requirements, right? So we discussed mutual exclusion in detail in the last lecture. Today we'll discuss first all three requirements in detail, then only we will show algorithmic solution for critical section problem, right? Okay, so mutual exclusion, as you all know, mutual exclusion, what it means if two processes want to, let's say P1 and P2, let's say P1 and P2 want to execute their critical section, right? Their critical section, and because they are concurrent in nature, they are cooperating in nature, that means they want their critical section execution at the same time. So mutual exclusion ensures that only one of these, either P1 or P2, will go to their critical section or will execute its critical section at single moment of time. Let's say at time t0, only one of any one of process out of P1 and P2 will execute its critical section. That means no two process, these two process cannot execute their critical section at the same time. So this insecurity will be given by mutual exclusion. If this is happening, like right, uh, like if time t0, only one process is executing its critical section and another process is executing its critical section after that process only, that means mutual exclusion is happening, right? So clear, guys? I think it is clear. Mutual exclusion we already discussed in previous class also, right? Okay, now come to the progress part. What it is saying, it is saying if no process is executing critical section, right, and some processes wishes to enter their critical section, then only those processes that are not executing their remainder section can participate in decision on which will enter its critical section next. Okay, okay, what it means, progress. What progress means, it is simply stating, let us say we have five processes in the system currently, such that P1, P2, P3, P4 and P5, and these all are cooperating processes, right? Let us some of the processes are executing their critical section, some of the processes are not executing. If I am writing let's say for example I am writing CS, that means this P1 process is executing its critical section. Okay, let's say I am writing RS, that means this the P2 process is executing its remainder section only, right? That means currently these processes are in these sections only. Okay, so for example, let us say to understand the progress part, let us remove that critical section. Now let us say out of P1, P2, P3, P4, P5, P2 and P4 are in remainder section. Okay, and these processes, these concurrent processes, these processes want to execute their critical section, right? their critical section. Now they have to system has to decide, or they have to decide that which will go first. Like if P1, P3, P5 is demanding critical section, then which one will go next? Either P1 will execute its critical section, or P2 will P3 will execute its critical section, or P5 it will execute its critical section. What progress means that there should be some mechanism like that it will count only these three processes for the selection processes, right? It should not include these two processes in the calculation or in the decision that which will go to the critical section. See, let's say if five out of five let un- let's understand, if out of five two processes are in remainder section, and three processes wants to execute critical section. Let's say case 1. If system includes all these five processes in the decision, that means n equals to 5, right? And if the decision is based on the population equals to 5, that means the chance of probability of anyone getting selected will be how much? It will be 1 upon 5, right? That means there are 20% of probability, right? See the case 2. Case 2 what our progress factor is telling. It is telling, don't consider these 2 points because they are executing their remainder section. Don't include those. Why? Because if they are executing their remainder section, see, if they are executing their remainder section, definitely if they are that particular process is executing its remainder section, that means it don't need critical section request. It will need critical section request after only remainder section, right? So that's why what progress is saying, that any processes, if there is no if no process is executing critical section, and some processes, okay, so some processes want to execute their critical section, so the processes which are in critical remainder sections should not in, should not be included in the decision that which one will get the critical section next, right? So let's see in case 1, when we included these two also, then n will equals to 5, and there will be the probability of 20% of getting selected of any process, right? But in case 2, if we are neglecting the processes with the remainder section, that means n will be 3, and probability of any process getting selected will be 1 upon 3, that means 33%. That's why it is saying, because it is the waste of chance, or waste of probability, if you are selecting those processes which are in remainder section, right? So logically it is correct, because if any process is in its remainder section, definitely it will not ask for critical section. It will only ask for critical section once it will complete its remainder section and come back to entry section and then request critical section, right? So logically, algorithm if solution to critical section is giving progress, that means all the processes which wishes to enter their critical section and which are not in the remainder section will be taken into the decision, where we somehow select any one process out of these processes only. we are not including remainder section processes with the execution of remainder section, right? So I think you understood it, that if, see, logically, if, let's say, if you included, let's say if you included this one is in remainder section, this one is in remainder section, process 1 2 3 4 5, let's say, if your algorithm decided to to, uh, to consider all the processes in the system, then what will happen if your algorithm select any process which is in its remainder section, then what will happen, these processes which really wants, these three processes which really wants critical section execution will have to wait, and that's what we don't want. That's what progress is stopping. We are stopping progress if our algorithms mistakenly selected any process which is in remainder section, because you are giving the permission to the to execution of to the process which are executing its critical remainder section, and definitely this time it is not required. That's why you are wasting time of the processes, process number 2 3 and 5, which have, which needs critical section, their critical section execution, but they have to wait until and unless it will, this particular process will not leave its critical section, and it will leave its critical section when it will complete its remainder section. After that it execute its critical section, and then only it will leave the critical section, then only the chance will be given to any other process. That's why that's why this, the solution must ensure progress by neglecting the processes with the remainder execution of remainder section should be neglected when we are making decision that which process out of these processes will get their critical section next, right? I think you understood it now, no? Right? Okay. Next third condition, what it is defining, it is saying there exists a bound on number of times that other processes are allowed to enter their critical section after a process has made a request to enter its critical section. Okay, what it is saying, that there should not be unbounded wait. What it is saying, bounded waits is saying, bounded wait is saying that if we have five processes, P1, P2, P3, P4, P5 in the system came after one and after each other, after in the gap of 1 second, let's say. So your solution must ensure bounded wait. That means every process has every process must have approximate approximate similar similar wait time, right? And wait time, what it means, wait time, or we can say response time, right? Response time. That means that this process is executing its critical section, right? After that this process is getting chance of critical section, and after that, if let's say another process P6 came and your algorithm is giving chance to this process to execute its critical section, that means your system is not fair. You must have some mechanism like that, that every process, either it is P1, P2, P3, P4, P5, has a similar or approximate same response time. Means after submission of their request for critical section, every process will get chance of executing its critical section at regular interval. Interval means any process should not wait indefinitely indefinitely for getting its critical section. So this is the fundamental behind bounded waiting, that there should be a bounded wait. Means there should not be an indefinite wait, there should be a definite wait for all the processes, that after 3 or 4 cycles you will definitely get your critical section, right? So that means you are making your system fair enough, right? So that every process will get its critical section on regular basis, right? No process is waiting unlimited time for indefinite time, right? That means no process is getting in starvation condition, right? So these three are our requirements for any solution which we will give for critical section problem, right guys? Okay, I think these three condition is clear to you. Now come to next point, where we will discuss solution to different solutions to CS problem. CS problem. Okay, let us first algorithmic solution. Let us first discuss it. Okay, for the simplicity reason, we will understand solution to the critical section problem in the scenario where we are dealing with two processes only, right? For the simplicity, right? So that you will understand the logic. After understanding the logic behind two process solution, we can extend it to n process solution, right? So in the section algorithmic solution, we will discuss two process solution, right? Which is also referred as Peterson algorithm. Peterson's algorithm, right? Sometimes they may ask the name of Peterson algorithm. So it is two process solution. That means we will understand the solution of critical section problem using two process solution, right? Where it will assumption will be there are two processes. Two processes will be named either P0 and P1, or in generalized term Pi, and if first process is Pi, we will refer second process as Pj, right? Now come, let us understand. Remember, we are having the structure. I already told you to remember this structure. First there will be entry section, then after that critical section, after that exit section, After that, remainder section, right, while 1. This is the general architecture we will follow for the solutions given, right? So the first solution given by Peterson, or two process solution, is like that. This is the code for PI. We are assuming PI as a first process, right? So pseudocode is like while turn is not equals to I. Yes. And turn equals to J. While so this is the algorithmic to process first algorithmic solution. This is the algorithm 1 by given by Peterson as a two process solution. So this is the code for PI. In the same way, there will be, to better understand this problem solution, we must develop same code for PJ. So to develop same code, you need to simply copy that code just you need to replace I with J and J with I. Right, turn equals to I, while 1. Okay, so this algorithm 1, this is algorithm 1, first algorithm given by Peterson, where they are using only one integer variable, or common variable, which is called let us common variable is our common variable is turn, right? It will have either value I or J. If turn equals to I, that means PI is allowed to enter its critical section, right? So this common variable is defining the turn, right? That's why it is named as turn. That means it is defining the turn, which process out of these two, will execute its critical section, right? So PI turn, if any time at if any time turn value of the turn will be is equals to I, that means PI is allowed to enter its critical section, right? And if it is turn is equals to J, that means process PJ is allowed to execute its critical section, right? So that's why to understand it better, I parallelly write both the codes, right? So that you will understand how this is working. Now let us check, is this solution given by Peterson first algorithm is the pure solution for critical section? Let us check, right? So if you can check here by using turn. See, this is the transaction number 1, 2, 3, 4 5, right? Let us check. Okay, let's say the both processes start execution of their code at the same time, right? Let us understand the problem with the same time. That means they are concurrent processes, right? So pi will execute do, pj will execute do, right? Both will execute do. After that, when they came to t2, when they came to t2, both are executing this statement, while statement, right? So if both are executing their statement and both are what they are checking, let's say pi is checking if turn is not equals to I, while turn is not equals to I, जब तक turn आपका I के बराबर नहीं है तब तक क्या हो, तब तक you have blocked this process. That means this is spin lock. How? Because your while loop is ended here. Check this one. Your loop is ended here. This is infinite loop until and unless this condition will break, it will loop, it will perform looping indefinitely, right? Until and unless this condition is true, right? So at the t2 both will execute while loop, right? And the while loop, they are checking turns value of turn, they are verifying the value of turn. If the turn value is I, that means what it means, if the value of turn will be I, that means this condition will be failed and this spin lock will break down and this process will come into its critical section, right? That's what we discussed. If the turn value is I, that means pi is allowed to enter its critical section. So by algorithmic solution, we what we are doing, we are creating entry section, right? Entry section here, right? Where each process is verifying value of turn. So if the turn value, let's say both are executing this process, this statement, right? And this pi is checking it turns value for I and pj is checking turns value for j, right? So definitely after these only one condition will be true and one condition will be false at the same time. Let's say t2, at the time t2, at the transaction number t2, let's say this time turn value is I. That means for this process this spin lock has been breaked and pi gets into the critical section. Now at this time when it it got its critical section, that means it is locked here by spin lock, because if turns value is I, that means turns value is not j, and is not j, that means it is infinite loop. It has to wait until and unless this condition gets false, right? Because it is terminated here. Okay, now after that it is spinning here only, and this process pi process has completed its critical section and now it's entered into its exit section, right? And where what it is doing, it is simply doing, it is assigning j to the value, j value to the turn. That means it is updating the turn value as j. That means what it is doing after, once it executed this statement, that means this process pj process got its this condition false and it will get critical section, right? So that means if you are analyzing this code, you can understand at the same time only one value of turn can persist. Either it will be I, either it will be j, and whatever the value, let's say in our example, turn's value first it is getting I, that means it is allowing pi process to get its critical section, right? And once the process pi completed its critical section and enter to its exit section, what it is doing, it is simply updating the value of turn as j. That means it is giving the chance, simply it is giving the chance to pj. By updating turn's value as j, it is giving chance to pj that now your turn is you have now you have chance to execute your critical section. Once you completed your critical section, then only I will again start our my critical section after you only, right? So whatever you are seeing here, whatever you are analyzing here, it's simply, this solution is simply providing mutual exclusion to our solution, right? By seeing this code, you can understand, by using only one turn variable, if you have developed the solution for critical section problem and you analyze the process of this processing of these instructions, what you got to know that only one process is getting its critical section at one time, and they are getting their critical section one after another. So this solution is providing mutual exclusion, right? Only no progress is there, right? So it is not a true solution for mutual exclusion, for critical section problem, right? I think you understood it. This is the algorithmic solution we have discussed, where the assumptions are there will be two processes, either they are named as P0 P1 or Pi Pj. We are assuming here Pi and Pj for understanding purpose, for algorithmic understanding purpose, right? So we have given the code for Pi and Pj separately, and we have written these codes in parallel so that we can understand it clearly and easily, right? And what it is saying, it is using common variable which is named as turn, because this variable is deciding which process is getting, which process will get critical section, right? by by uh, by analyzing the code, you can say that what which any process which want to execute their critical section, its critical section, need to first check the condition for turn, right? And here in the while loop, what it is checking, it is checking turn's value, it is testing the turn's value for their name only. Here pi will check turn's value for I, and pj will check turn's value for j. And in the while statement, because it is infinite loop, you can check if the turn's value is not equals to I, that means this process wants turn's value I. It will loop until and unless turn's value is not getting as I. Once it gets the value of turn as I, definitely this statement turns is not equals to I will be get false, right? That means this spin lock will be breaked, infinite loop will be breaked, and this particular pi process will get its critical section. And after execution of its critical section, what it will do, it will update the turns value as j, because it is a two process solution. We are assuming that there are only two processes which are fighting for its critical section, right? That's why it will update the value of turn as j. That means it's simply giving the chance for chance to the next process for critical section. Now what is the problem here? Now see, let's say this time if it is not demanding its critical section, let's assume it is not demanding its critical section, right? So what you are doing, what pi is doing, it is updating turns value at j. That means it is giving chance to pj, whereas pj is not demanding critical section. Now let's here the problem begins. Now after this turns equals to j, after again let's assume again pi wants its critical section again after 2 seconds, right? 2 seconds. After 2 seconds it needs execution of critical section again demand critical section, right? But what is happening here, after 2 seconds when it came here, it is checking for turns value for I, but because you have updated the value of turn at j and pj don't want critical section, that means it is not accepting critical section, right? So what will be the value of turn? J. Turns value of turn will be j until and unless it is explicitly not updated by as I. So until and unless it will not get turns value as I, this pi will have to wait. And if you have given the chance to any process which don't require its critical section, that means this wait will be converted as starvation. That means your progress condition will be not satisfied. Now I think you understood the problem. Second statement, progress. This solution is not giving the progress field or progress to the systems, to the processes which needs their critical section, right? So by using these two process solution, we can understand that this algorithm 1 is not satisfying the condition for second statement, second criteria, progress. It is not satisfying the this requirement, progress requirement. That's why this solution is not the correct solution for critical section problem, right? This is not the correct solution. So after when we they checked the solution, they found that this is not the correct solution. They have updated that this algorithm to next one, which is called algorithm 2. Algorithm 2, they have modified this algorithm and named algorithm 2. We will discuss it tomorrow, right, in the next class. Okay guys, I think this is clear to you. This is the first algorithm solution named as Peterson algorithm 1 we have discussed, and where we discussed that how this is processing and how the mutual exclusion is provided using common integer variable turn, but it is not providing progress solution, right? So I think this is clear, and that's all for today. Thank you guys.